Hi there BookTube, it's Eleanor here and welcome to another BooktubeSFF Babbles talk. Today we are talking about our final thoughts on the shortlist for the SFF Babbles. So I'm going to talk to you today about the books that I have picked as my top from each category that I will be voting for. I have read all of them now, bar one, but I'll explain why. And yeah, so let's get into it. Firstly, I want to talk about the graphic novel section. I felt this was really strong this year, and there was sort of two graphic novels that were sort of in the running for me, and they were Descender and Saga. Nimona for me was just a okay read. I just felt it wasn't really for me for whatever reason. The story didn't really grab me. And Wicked and Divine, I really tried, but it's just not a series for me. It just didn't grab me. Saga, I'm really enjoying this ongoing series. And just pipping it to the post was Descender, which is going to be my pick for the graphic novels. This is the one that I want to win, so fingers crossed. In the short story section, I had 2 3-star reads and a 4-star read. My 3-star reads were Binti and Perfect State. They were both okay stories, but nothing spectacular for me. But I really enjoyed Mary Robinette Cowell's Midnight Hour. I thought it was really clever. I really enjoyed the fact that it made sense to me. Sometimes short stories sort of leave it at the end and I feel a bit like, you know, it doesn't have to wrap up all tight and neat, but it does have to leave me with something, and I find often that that is lacking in short stories. This short story is so short, and yet I really found it packed a punch. It was exciting, it was really an interesting concept, and it made me think afterwards. So I'm definitely going to be voting for Midnight Hour by Mary Robinette Cowell. In the YA category, I had 2 4-star reads and a 5-star read. My most surprising 4-star read was Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I was expecting to really not like this book. I read Shadow and Bone last year and it was just meh. It wasn't really for me, and I haven't carried on with the rest of that series. So I kept putting off reading Six of Crows, but I finally read it a few weeks ago and I was really pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed it. It was really a fun, fast-paced heist type story with some magical elements in there, which made sense to me even though I hadn't finished the Shadow and Bone series, and so I gave that one 4 stars and I really enjoyed it. I also really enjoyed Carry On by Rainbow Rowell and gave that one 4 stars. It was a really good fun story, reminiscent of sort of Harry Potter but with other elements in there that made it its own story, and I really enjoyed it. However, the book that really excited me and that I gave 5 stars and that I will be voting for is Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I loved this story. I loved that it was told in emails and documents and video transcripts, and I just really loved this science fiction adventure story, and I can't wait for the next one in this series, so I will be voting for this as my YA pick. And then finally, in the adult or general novel section, there was 4 books in here. Let's talk about the first one, which is Shadows of Self, which is the second book in a sort of Mistborn spin-off, which started with Alloy of Law. I read Alloy of Law and I just really didn't like it that much. It was okay, but I gave it 3 stars, but it was pretty meh. And I really, unfortunately, just couldn't bring myself to read Shadows of Self. I really couldn't, and I know that I wouldn't be giving it any higher rating because I just don't like this world really, and I'm just not enjoying it. So I haven't read it, but I have started the series, so I'm not sure really if that qualifies me to pick my favourite from this category, but I think it does, because I don't think it was never going to beat the one that is the top for me in this category. I had 2 3-star reads in this. I had A Darker Shade of Magic, which was okay, but nothing spectacular in my opinion, and The Fifth Season, which I gave 3 stars as well. I found it slightly confusing and jumbled, and it was a good story, but it just didn't grab me, and I had to sort of slog my way through it a little bit. It just wasn't for me. But the book that I gave 5 stars is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. This is a controversial book. It seems to be very Marmite. You either love it or you hate it, and I absolutely loved this story. I just thought it was a brilliant adventure story about magic and set in this sort of small town, and I just myth, and I just really loved it. So I will be voting for Uprooted as my pick for the novel category. So we've got Descender for my graphic novel, we've got Uprooted for my novel, Illuminae for my YA, and Midnight Hour for my short stories. What are you going to be picking? Let me know in the comments. Have I really rattled you by one of the ones I've picked because you just think that that's a terrible choice? Let me know. Let's talk in the comments. I'd be really interested to see where people are falling on what they're going to be picking for their winners in their head. And I'm looking forward to battling it out with the other judges to see which ones we come up with as winners ourselves. Anyway, that's it from me, and I'll see you in the live awards show. Bye for now, BookTube.